Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Holocaust Museum Houston's Guardian of the Human Spirit Luncheon. Please welcome the Chief Executive Officer of Holocaust Museum Houston, Dr. Kelly Zuniga.
Well, good afternoon, and welcome to Holocaust Museum Houston's 2021 Guardian of the Human Spirit Luncheon. And guess who we're honoring? Punkin and Walter Hecht. Woo! It is so good to be back together again and to celebrate with 800 of our friends and supporters. And it's been 2 years since we had met in person for our annual luncheon. So your presence today is ample evidence that we have selected the most deserving honorees. And now I'm going to put my teacher voice on. Calm down, sit in your seats, because we want everyone's attention up here. I am very, very proud to tell you that the proceeds from today's luncheon will go a long way towards helping continue our museum's fight against hatred, prejudice, and apathy. And with your support, we have raised $700,000 today. Yes, a big round of applause. And where is that going? It's going to help educate our children about these very real issues in our society. So I would like to take just a moment to welcome the many dignitaries that are with us today. And in interest of time, please hold your applause till I've recognized everyone. So would you please stand as I call your name? Mayor of Houston, Sylvester Turner. U.S. State Representative, Lizzie Fletcher. Texas Commissioner of the Arts, Teresa Chang. Former Associate Justice of the Texas Supreme Court, Rudy Claes-Sondag. Consul General of France, Valérie Barbaran. Houston Consul for the Kingdom of Thailand, Charles Foster. Former Texas House of Representative and former Houston City Council member, Ellen Cohen. And Chairman of Houston First, David Mintzberg. So please join me in welcoming these special guests. And now, please welcome Pastor Mia Wright from the Fountain of Praise, who will give the invocation, and Rabbi Adrian Scott of Congregation Beth Israel, who will lead us in the traditional Jewish blessing of the meal.
Thank you, Kelly. Good afternoon. I'm Mia Wright, co-pastor of the Fountain of Praise, and I have the pleasure, along with my sister from another mother, Rabbi Adrian Scott, to bless this occasion, this organization, and each one of you. The last 20 months have profoundly reminded each of us of our humanity. The isolation and separation have prompted so many people to return to their faith during uncertain times. It's out of our humanity that we recognize that there is a higher power. Author John Chittister said, "Prayerfulness is fostered by the simple consciousness that God is." So let's pray. Father, above all, with the heart of gratitude, we give you thanks. We thank you for this day. We thank you for the person on my left and the person on my right. We thank you for your guiding spirit through tumultuous times. We thank you that we are still here with memories and here with life stories that you have allowed us to experience. We are here with history. We're here, we're resolute, with our hearts connected, our spirits united, and our minds committed to embrace truth, to fight for justice, and to serve humanity. Thank you for being our God. The words of King David remind us that the earth is the Lord's and everything in it, the world and all the people belong to him. We embrace your presence into this space. We thank you for the food we shall receive. And into this moment, God, we ask you to fill us with your spirit in our hearts and our minds. And together, all God's people may say, amen.
Thank you so much, Pastor Wright. The prophet Isaiah teaches of the importance of being a light unto the nations. Each of us is responsible for carrying the sacred mission of protecting all of God's children and all of God's creation. The work is difficult and taxing, and there are those among us who embrace the task and serve as an inspiration. Punkin and Walter Hecht are the most dutiful servants of this sacred work. In a loving and caring way, they stand tall to protect the rights of all those in need. We seek inspiration in these challenging times. The rabbis teach that the work looms large, but we can't postpone the holy and sacred tasks before us. As we have been guided and inspired by leaders like the Hechts, may each of us rise the challenge as we find our righteous paths. This moment is an opportunity to embrace the hope and inspiration we seek. Let us show gratitude for the fellowship and sustenance we are about to enjoy as we recognize our past and plan diligently for the future. Please join me now in reciting Motzi. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Praised are you, God, ruler of the universe, who creates bread from the earth, so that we may nourish our bodies and souls. Amen. B'tei avon.
Okay, let's quiet down a little bit. I want to express my personal appreciation to all of you here today for making this event such a success. This has been a really challenging 20 months for the museum, and we owe much of our accomplishments to our dedicated staff and supporters, such as each of you here today. So I want a round of applause. Give me a round of applause, because we could not have done it without all of you. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for what you've done to help us survive this pandemic. This luncheon would not be possible without the tireless work by some truly incredible people, not just honorees, but host committee chairs Eileen and Lenny Weissman, and our event chairs, Michelle and Richard Deutsch, Cheryl and Stephen Golub, BJ and Buddy Hurst, and Gail and Milton Klein. This is a very special group in itself, as they are not only close friends for many, many years to Punkin and Walter, but they are each significant leaders at our museum. So will the event chairs please join me on stage as we have a gift of appreciation for your unbelievable role in today's luncheon. Round of applause. I just have to really bring it. They are an amazing team. Another round of applause for them, because they are fantastic.
Please welcome.
Today is an important one in Holocaust history. It is the 83rd anniversary of the November pogrom, known to the Nazis as Kristallnacht, the night of the broken glass, referring to the thousands of shattered windows that littered the streets, reflecting a violent turning point in the Holocaust. On the night of November 9th, 1938, violent anti-Jewish demonstrations broke out across Germany, Austria, and the Sudetenland region of Czechoslovakia. Nazi officials depicted the riots as justified reactions to the assassination of German foreign official Ernst von Brath, who had been shot 2 days earlier by Herschel Rubenstein, a 17-year-old Polish Jew distraught over the deportation of his family from Germany. Over the next 48 hours, violent mobs, spurred by anti-Semitic exhortations from Nazi officials, destroyed hundreds of synagogues, burning or desecrating Jewish religious artifacts along the way. Acting on orders from Gestapo headquarters, police officers and firefighters did nothing to prevent the destruction. All told, approximately 7,500 Jewish-owned businesses, homes, and schools were plundered. 91 Jews were murdered. An additional 30,000 Jewish men were arrested and sent to concentration camps. Nazi officials immediately claimed that the Jews themselves were to blame for the riots, and a fine was imposed of over $400 million in 1938 rates on the German Jewish community. So it's important to listen that Kristallnacht was a turning point in the history of the Third Reich, marking the shift from anti-Semitic rhetoric and legislation to the violent, aggressive, anti-Jewish measures that would culminate with the Holocaust. So today, with the continued rise in hateful acts and anti-Semitic incidents across our nation, the museum's mission has never been more important. We believe that upstanders created today will be the nation's leaders tomorrow. Holocaust education is at the heart of what we do daily, and cutting-edge programs and exhibitions are paramount to our continued success. So our first video today highlights our dynamic education department and the incredible programs and resources they utilize daily to fulfill our mission and inspire change. I'm so proud of what our education department accomplishes every single day. And I'd like you to join me in learning more about our educational resources so that you too can fight anti-Semitism, prejudice, and apathy. Thank you.
The mission of the museum is to remember the 6 million Jews and others who perished during the Holocaust, honor the survivors' legacy, and teach the dangers of hate, prejudice, and apathy. Our job in education is to put action to the mission of the museum.
The Holocaust is a human story. You can teach students how to be leaders all the way from pre-K to middle school to high school, that they have voices, they can be empowered citizens, and to create positive changes around them.
I really wanted us to have more empowerment from the standpoint of our educators going into the schools. That was the beginning of Educator in Motion.
The Educator in Motion program is an outreach program for schools and community groups to teach about the Holocaust, other genocides, human rights, and active citizenship. The whole goal is to be interactive. Instead of just standing there and lecturing and telling them what to think, we're helping them engage with the subject hopefully we can generate some interest in coming to the museum, learning a little bit more.
Many of the students that we go and teach, this was their first introduction to the history of the Holocaust, and they became very upset and angry. How could something like this happen? What can I do today? And really empowering them to be more inclusive in the world that they create.
All of the programs can be taught either in English or in Spanish. That includes from elementary to high school. Being able to communicate with someone in their native tongue is really helpful, and it really connects with them.
I think one of the programs that speaks to me directly is our Engines of Change. It's a program that helps young people find their voice and learn how to be upstanders.
The Engines of Change program began in 2016. Students from all over the city learn about these important lessons of the Holocaust, as well as examine important social issues that are in the world today. We often bring in guest speakers, we take field trips, we do community service projects. All of this helps young people understand what it means to be an upstander in their own world. In 2019, we realized that our capacity is limited by the size of our classroom. So we launched the Engines of Change campus program to have hundreds of students involved in this program. The education team works with teachers in many ways. We have the Warren Inspector Warren Fellowship, which trains pre-service teachers. We also have the Max M. Kaplan Summer Institute for Educators, and this is for teachers already in the classroom. Teachers can leave the institute with actual lessons that they can put into place in their classroom. One other way that we support teachers is the Henia Leibman Fellowship. We send 2 educators to Yad Vashem in Israel to study during the summer for 3 weeks.
We have a series of educator workshops. Educators are able to tour the museum space, whether here in person or virtually. And when they leave the workshop, they can take resources to help their students engage in these very important topics.
So at the Holocaust Museum Boniak Library, we offer educators curriculum guides that will help them start their lesson plans off for the year. We also have digital classroom sets for specific book titles and research guides for students, along with numerous bilingual materials.
Holocaust Museum Houston began a trunk program almost 25 years ago. We had physical trunks filled with books and resources that were sent all over the country. We were the first museum to do that. As the years went by, we converted our physical trunks into a trunk full of iPads. This year, we are launching an eBooks trunk.
It's all online, and it gives them basically the whole catalog of books that are associated with each grade level. It really helps broaden the reach of the museum. Some students can't make it here physically, but having those resources really lets them see all of this new information.
This museum is for everyone. Being a bilingual museum adds a whole nother dimension. We'll have more opportunity for new groups to share their cultural background that we really have never had before.
Latinx initiatives began in 2015, and the goal is to support Latinx representation at the museum through our exhibitions, public programs, and education initiatives. As a part of Latino initiatives, we're offering the Silverman Latin American Institute that brings educators from Latin America as well as the United States to the museum to learn about the Holocaust, human rights, and social justice.
We were very excited, even though it was virtual, to kick off our first year, and it was extremely successful.
I hope this museum becomes a place of information and support and resources for the vast array of communities that come together to make Houston such a great community. It's really a focus on lifelong education, meeting people wherever they are. And so our education programs are always working to try to be as inclusive as possible to the widest range of individuals.
I was a classroom teacher for 20 years, And during that time, I began teaching about the Holocaust, and I could see the impact it had on my students. I feel very passionate about teaching these important lessons so that we can make the world a better place.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Board Chair of Holocaust Museum Houston, Carl Josehart.
Good afternoon. I am so inspired by today's success. Please allow me to offer my own thanks to the event chairs. We are forever grateful for your support. And thank you to our speaker sponsor, the Fred and Mabel R. Parks Foundation, and our VIP reception sponsor, my friends at Memorial Hermann. Let's give them a hand. I am so proud to represent Holocaust Museum Houston as board chair during its 25th anniversary year. And I am especially honored to recognize some very important people in the room today, our Houston area Holocaust survivors. Their wisdom and their strong spirit have given us hope and inspiration over these many years. I'd like to ask our survivors to stand or raise your hands to be recognized at this time. I'm especially proud to share with you that one of our special survivors, Ruth Steinfeld, was just recently awarded the Legion of Honor from the country of France. And now, if our second generation descendants could please stand or raise your hand to be recognized. We so appreciate all you mean to our community. And I'd like to welcome everyone in attendance here today. Holocaust Museum Houston established the Guardian of the Human Spirit Award in 1997 as a platform to acknowledge dedicated institutions and leaders who have worked to enhance the lives of others, our communities, and to better humankind. None are more worthy than today's honorees, Punkin and Walter Hecht. Let's take a look at our beloved honorees.
Just a minute, guys, I gotta get ready for my close-up.
This is Punkin, and I'm Walter.
No, wait, okay.
Well, I got her number, and I called her for a date. I said, where and how can we meet? When can we meet?
I took one look at him. My heart started pounding. I knew that was the boy I was gonna marry.
But once we started dating, we didn't stop. And 66 years later, we're still going strong.
Not 66 years.
66 years, 62 years of marriage, and 4 years of dating.
Excuse me.
Clyde was a student athlete at the University of Houston playing basketball.
And he saw my bio, he said, I heard, young man, you're interested in finance. I was a finance major. And he says, well, if you're really serious, here's my card, call me. And so I called him right away.
He came to work at the bank I was working in, and they put him as a teller. And he learned to be a teller that usually takes 2 weeks. He learned it in 2 days.
There are people who looked out for everyone, regardless of how they looked. They wanted to make a difference, and they wanted to help young people become better.
My relationship with them goes back to 1978, when they were very active and instrumental in what was then known as Project Exodus, which was a project started by the American Jewish community to bring the Soviet Jews out of Russia. Walter and Punkin were one of the leaders of the Houston Jewish community in order to bring them here. They guarded lives, not just the spirit. These people saved lives. I mean, on behalf of every Russian Jew, thank you. You are the guardians of the human spirit. So I cannot think of anybody else that deserves this award more.
Punkin and Walter are the warmest and most fun people to be with. They share their warmth, they share their love, they share their resources, and they're just wonderful people.
When you observe Walter and Punkin communicate, they're like two parts of the same being. Like you can't imagine them apart from each other.
Walter, stop it. Learn to enjoy things.
I got a busy day to do.
To do what? We're going to Costco to get hot dogs.
Okay.
Afterwards. We got a real busy day.
They're different. She's obviously more outgoing and more verbal than he is, but they're a good combination.
The best example of the two of them together is that they were one of the first groups of people that called me when I started working at the museum.
Punkin and Walter have a tremendous quality about them of embracing people.
It's one of the best friendships I have, being a part of the Hecht family for over 42 years. Long time, isn't it? We're rich by what we give, and we're poor by what we keep. Well, the Hechts are the best embodiment of that statement because they've been given for many, many years. It has influenced me in many ways, and so I've always given back and tried to help young people become the best that they could be because that's the love that was shown to me from Walter and Punkin.
Their generosity helps us sustain our programs and make sure that we'll be viable into the future. And they have a passion for our mission, not only the part of our mission that's about remembrance, but the part of our mission that's about using those lessons to make the world a better place.
Because of the Hechts, the world is a better place. They've lived day by day, minute by minute, to do for others, to do for organizations that can do for others, and they don't shirk from their responsibilities. They are truly deserving of this award.
They are guardians over anything that they are involved with, and they protect it, they cherish it, and they really, really care.
The last couple years have been very challenging in many ways, but people like Walter and Punkin can see the future and see the need to invest now to make sure that the future is bright for other people.
I'm so happy for them to receive this award because they really deserve it. We all aspire to be Walter and Punkin.
Give me a high five.
High five. Good job, Daddy.
Good job, guys.
Please join me in welcoming our honorees, Walter and Punkin Hecht.
Good afternoon. Punkin and I are very proud to receive the 2021 Guardian of the Human Spirit Award. Holocaust Houston Museum, thank you very much. As a little boy, my mom would take me for lunch at the Star Drugstore in Galveston. We would sit at the counter, and I always sat on the third stool. Recently, I took Punkin there for lunch. My seat was taken. I was not a happy camper. So we got a table
It was next to a group of people eating banana splits. As a little girl, Punkin was told not to speak to strangers. Well, Punkin asked, "Are those banana splits as good as they look?" And a few of the people said, "Yes, they are." Then Punkin said, "Hi, my name is Punkin. I live in Houston. Where are you guys from?" The elderly lady said, "We are 4 generations born and raised in Katy, Texas. And I am here with my son and his wife, his daughter, and 3 of my great-grandkids." Punkin asked, "How do you like living in Katy, Texas?" The father said, "We love it. Katy has everything Houston has to offer, except for the traffic, professional sporting teams, Jones Hall, and museums." Punkin asked, "Which museums have you gone to?" He said, "We have gone to the Children's Museum, Museum of Fine Arts, and the Holocaust Museum." Wow. Punkin said, "I have been to most of them. Tell me about your visit at the Holocaust Museum." He answered, "We have been there several times." His daughter said, "You must see it. Everyone must go to the Holocaust Museum. It is very important to learn about the Holocaust. To ignore it is to repeat it." She made my day. Her words, "Everyone must go to the Holocaust Museum, and to ignore it is to repeat it," shows what a great job our docents, our volunteers, and our staffs are doing. We want to thank our luncheon chairs, Rich and Michelle Deutsch, Cheryl and Steve Golub, BJ and Buddy Hers, and Gail and Milton Klein. And our host committee chairs, Eileen and Lenny Weissman, and the members of the host committee, Carol, Barry, Brad, Bruce, and Clyde. Thank you for those kind words. In closing, Punkin and I want to thank each and every one of you for being here today and supporting Holocaust Museum Houston. It is an honor to have our names listed with the previous recipients of the Guardian of the Human Spirit Award. We share this award with all of you. Always remember, stop hate. To ignore it is to repeat it. Never again. Have a nice day. Thank you.
I'm only going to say that this award we share in memory of our wonderful parents who started it all. We share it with our wonderful children and grandchildren. And we only hope that everybody will be very aware that it could happen again. Please, never again. Have a happy day. Walter and I are thrilled.
Well, Punkin, when we first spoke about you and Walter being honorees, you said, "Do you think anyone will come?" Well, I think next time we need a bigger ballroom. Before we break for lunch, I have an exciting announcement. The 2022 Lyndon Baines Johnson Moral Courage Award dinner will take place May 17th at this very hotel. In conjunction with the museum hosting the notorious RBG, the Life and Times of Ruth Bader Ginsburg exhibition opening this spring, the LBJ dinner will honor the late Justice Ginsburg, with her son James Ginsburg accepting on behalf of the family. What's more, with the help of distinguished dinner chairs Maddie and Ken Cadis, for the first time ever, HMH will feature live entertainment by Emmy and Tony Award-winning actress and singer Kristen Chenoweth. Yeah, it's exciting. You can learn more on our website at hmh.org/LBJ dinner. There is so much more to come, so please enjoy your lunch.